So, episode 8 of Noragami season 2, this right here took a crazy turn. I had no idea that this season would play out this way, but I gotta say, seeing Yato going around and like a killing, I wouldn't say a killing race, but like a killing mode, to me, that right there is like a huge switch up to his character, and I do kind of like it. And at the same time, I'm definitely worried to see how this right here will affect, his like relationship with Hiyori and Yukine, because he is going around killing people because they are dying. Even though they are very bad people, he is still taking a life, and that right there might come back to bite him some way, down the road. But we see now that the episode itself, it starts off with Ebisu, and we learn more about the masked ones. And so we learn now that these masked ones, they are very limited when it comes to like regalias using them, but only gods that can give, people names. They are the only ones who can make phantoms into puppets who are essentially, masked ones, because they are bound by that mask. They have no choice but to obey it. And so we see now that, Ebisu's regalia, they have captured like some kind of phantom who is like definitely powerful, because we see him now constantly, fight against that barrier that they use, for that little ritual to like purify them. And so we see now that Ebisu, he actually wanted to like make this phantom into a masked one, and we see him now performing the other ritual. And so we see now that this phantom name, it would be Ryoki. And so we see now that when he put the mask on their face, you just see Ebisu, like being blighted pretty much instantly, and we even see it now advancing at a very quick pace. And so obviously that right there is not a good sign. And so after that, we go to Yato, and we see now like there were like two rival gangs who were both affected by a phantom, and we see now both of them were like these giant roosters. And so obviously, a fight was going to break out, but luckily we have Yato stepping in and taking them both out, which eventually stopped this like needless fight. And so that right there was awesome. Every time I see, Yato dual wielding his swords, I just get hyped, because I am so glad that, one of my favorite characters just got, a pretty good upgrade. And so right now we see, once again, we have, Yato like annoying Hiyori, pretty much like stalking her, and we see him now, obviously getting on her nerves, but we see that the reason why Yato seems so overbearing now is not only because of what Hiyori did for him, it's what the benefits of that, did for Yato, because we see that not only is that little shrine official for him now, because he actually went to the government's office and was like harassing them, every day till they approved of it. We see now that because of that, he can actually, go to Takamagahara, where all the other guards are. And we see that, now he can like go there freely, because before he had no way to do that. And we even see now that he had like this little area of land, and we see that he can now attend the meetings of the gods. He can now sell like his own merchandise, which is like food, like a CD and a book. And we even see now that excuse me. Now, I'm pretty sure there was like one other perk, but I forgot. But we see now that when it went to Takamagahara, Yato was like already, selling in pretty well, because we see him, already going around talking to the other guys, and we even see him, gossiping, with the other female guys. And to me, that right there was hilarious. But Yukine was the only one who was like keeping it real. And that's where I feel like, that's why I believe that, Yukine is the best choice to be Yato, exemplar, because he can keep Yato in check, and that was just what I like. And then we have, Yukine actually taking a pretty big risk, and we see him now going to like Lady Bishamon's mansion. And so we see now that he had went to Kazuma to get some training, and we see now, you would think that Bishamon would like try to kill Yukine or turn him away, but no, she actually let Kazuma go out and train him, and that right there was like definitely nice. And also it was hilarious when Bishamon was like, I hope that they don't live close by, but I do wonder, do they automatically get like some kind of home there, or will they have to like get more followers or worshipers? Like I do wonder just how Living There works, but at least now they can go there whenever they want. And so now we have Yukine and Kazuma training, and we learn more about the little invocations that the higher up regalis can use against the lower ones, and pretty much all like little spells that will allow like the god's right hand man to keep the other in check. And so pretty much doing these, there's a risk that like they could also harm your god, so you do have to be careful. But now we have them training, and obviously with like Yukine being a noob, there is no way he can outspell Kazuma. And so we see now, because of that, we have Yukine getting inked on every time he lost a round, and eventually like his face was like covered with it, and that right there was hilarious. And so we see now that a little bit before that, we have Hiyori with Kofuku and her regalia, and we see now that like Yato was like blowing her phone up like every 5 minutes, and we see now like in flashbacks, he was calling her, randomly, sending her all the messages. And so we see now that the reason why Yato was like so attached to Hiyori is because she is his first like real follower. And we see, that right there definitely come with a lot, because Yato definitely did not have that many, because he always had that problem, attracting, followers. And we even see now that, Yukine is as long as having regalia. And so right now we have Kofuku's regalia wondering just how in the world did like Yato survive, for all this time, especially if he had no followers, because Yato is an unknown god. If anyone ever stopped believing in him, he would vanish and not be reincarnated like the other gods would do, and that right there is a huge risk. And I'm thinking that maybe I am not sure if it's possible, but because he had Nora for so long, it's possible that maybe she was the one who believed in Yato and kept him around. I'm not really sure. But we see now that after Yukine training, they were all eating, and we see now that everybody was just laughing their ass off at Yukine, because, even though this guy was like working so hard, Kazuma pretty much made him, into a joke. And we see now that Yukine, the Yato, he was like freaking drunk, and we have him making this offer, to Yukine about going to like some kind of amusement park. And obviously, Yukine didn't want that, but it was Yato who actually really wanted to go there. And so we see now, Yato being like a little kid, wanting to go there. But after they all ate, Hiyori was like actually, going to leave, and that's where we have that's where we have Yukine, walking her home. And so right now we see that after that, Kofuku's regalia was like helping Yato to his room, and we see now that what's her name? Yato actually has a new dream now, where he actually plans to make Hiyori the happiest girl in the world, because she has done so much for him, especially now with that shrine. And we see now for the first time Yato actually brought up his past, saying that he wished that his child self could see him now, because now he has a shrine. And we see now someone in his past told him when he was a kid that that he needed no one, and or no one needed him, and that right there, which is so messed up. And we see now that a little bit after time goes by, someone actually contacts Yato, and we see now that when he actually goes out to see who it was, we see now that it was Nora. And so now we see that like Yato actually wants to cut all ties with Nora, and now I forgot her name. Like for some reason I cannot recall it, even though I'm trying like so hard to. I just can't remember what it was. And we see now that Nora, when like Yato had told her that he actually wanted to cut all ties with her, we see now that out of nowhere, this girl get like freaking scary on us. And we see her eyes are now like all hollowed out, and we see that, she would not allow that. And so pretty much we have all these masked ones, coming to attack Yato. And right now he had no choice but to use her, which means that, she was still bound to his name. And we even learn now that, Yato was the one who made her Nora in the first place. And so obviously that right there threw him off the game entirely. And so because Nora was not responding to him, Yato could not fight at all. And we see now that all these masked ones who outnumbered him, obviously, attacked him and messed him up, because we saw him infected at one point, with the blight. And so right now, once again, Nora is like pulling him back into his crushes. And apparently now her father, has like all these jobs for Yato. And at first he was like gone for a week. We have, Hiyori, walking around wondering, where he was. And obviously, Kofuku and her regalia, they didn't really care that much, because this right here was like normal. But it was the first time it happened while Yato had, Yukine and Hiyori by his side. And so we see now that, Yukine, he actually went to train, and we see now that Hiyori was like, how in the world can Yato be gone, especially now when you're like working so hard? And Yukine said he probably with Nora. And so obviously, that right there, definitely must have annoyed Yukine, but, unfortunately he was like right about that. And so right now we have Hiyori, going to Tenzin, this really popular god, and we see now, she had went to see if Yato had been there, and no, he had not seen her. And then we have, Tenzin, asking her, all the questions about if she's spending too much time, with all these gods, and like ignoring her school, her friends, and her family. And of course she denied it, but we all know she is definitely doing that. Oh, and also, like, there was like one boy who I'm guessing is like from the OVA. And so we see now that when Yato had actually possessed Hiyori's body, we see now that apparently he actually gave this guy one of those little box cutters, to use in a fight. And apparently that right there actually got everyone to like stop bullying this guy. But apparently, everybody treats him like he's invisible. And so we see now that, this guy has definitely fallen for Hiyori, even though it's kind of weird that like he fell for her when Yato was like in her body. And so right now, because of that, I feel like this guy might be, I feel like this guy might form some kind of like love triangle between our characters here. But I guess now we gotta wait to see how that plays out. And so now this guy could actually not confess to Hiyori. And so we see him now making up, some kind of lie, and this guy just like ran off. But obviously, he was going to confess to her. But now going back to Hiyori, she still cannot find Yato, which definitely sucks. And we see now that, Yato, he actually got paid for a job that would actually, be a job, to take a life. Because we see that, this woman, she had wanted to pay Yato to kill her daughter's, murderer. And we see now that this guy actually got off, easily because it was his first crime. But while this guy was in court, he was like actually smiling, and we see the woman wanted to pay Yato all this money, but only Yato wanted like a single yen. And so we see now that when he actually went to this guy's home, we see at first, we see Nora once again on that creepy status, but luckily now we have Yato coming in there, quickly, and we see now that when Yato uses Nora, she actually takes the form of a sword as well. But that right there was like also confirmed in the flashback, where Yato had killed Bishamon's old family. And so now we see that, even though Yato left no wounds on the outside of this guy's body, that right there, still took his life when he cut him. And then we have Yato going around killing all of these criminals. And we see that, eventually he was like getting tired of this and he wanted to leave because, he figured that right now a month has passed since he's been gone. And so I do wonder, if this month will affect, Yukina and Hiyori some way. But right now he actually wants to go back to them, and Nora, will not let that happen. And so we see now that Yato still cannot fight these masked ones. And we have them, attacking him once again. But this time, Yato was like fighting him barehanded. But sadly, that right there also, caused him to get blight on his hands. But eventually, now we have Nora's father, who at this point, who I'm guessing is like Alto's Yato father as well, because this guy is probably the one who told Yato, people don't need him, which is why, Yato has like this like mental chain that like pretty much ties him to these people. And so also we see now that Ebisu is now in the hospital, and we have Bishamon and that other god of fortune coming to visit him. And so obviously this guy's like in the hospital because of that powerful phantom that he actually tried to make it through a puppet. And even now this guy's like actually resisting the mask, which is why they have him like in that cage. And so obviously, this phantom is extremely powerful, and we see now that that Ebisu's regalia had made Bishamon and the other god leave, and we even learn now that Ebisu is like reincarnated, more frequently than others, and we even see now that the blight on him now is definitely getting worse, as we saw it now spreading like on his hand. And so right now, he's like wondering, why isn't a mask making its phantom into a puppet? So at least now he like wants to like figure that out, and we see now that Yato will actually get to leave if he can't finish this next job that his father gave him. And we see now that in the preview, Ebisu is actually going to fight Yato. So I do wonder how in the world did Ebisu get better so quickly. And I do wonder, if Yato can actually, fight against him. But overall, this episode, it got me so freaking hyped. And I am definitely looking forward, to next week. Because like I said, this episode, it was fantastic. And honestly, I would probably like let's say that I was like doing my ratings again, I would definitely give this episode a 9, if not higher. But of course, let me know what you guys think, and please do not forget to like and subscribe because it really helps me out. But as always, you guys take it easy, and I will see you all next time.